Celibacy, soul ties, and waiting till marriage. There was once a time I thought I'd never be saying this, but I get it now. I understand the spiritual importance and sanctity of celibacy and waiting till marriage. First off, this is one of the most challenging yet fruitful things I've ever done in my life. As men growing up, we're taught that our value lies in our body count. And for years, I always put my stock in that. In high school, I believed that's what made me a man, to be a player. I was wrong. Some men live permanently in that adolescent state where their goals, their aspirations, they don't go any further than trying to chase tail. That's the furthest they ever go. But when you start to step out of this matrix and you start to step away from lust and you start walking in the spirit and you have your spiritual high beams on, you start to develop discipline and self-control and stepping into the man God called you to be. You start to shed from the deep-rooted things the world programmed in us. And you start to realize that the soul ties are very real. Protect your spirit, my friend. Don't be naive like I was. Be careful who you share your body with. Let me ask you, are you a temple or are you a motel? See, in being celibate, you're cutting off all the energies and just sitting with your own. Even if it's just for a brief stint, it heals something deep within you. And a little bit before my wife and I, before we got engaged, we decided to do just that. And as difficult as it was, it brought not only a lot of growth, clarity, and healing, but it allowed us to find intimacy in many other ways. See, so many couples are relying on sex that if many of you took it out of the equation, you'd realize you don't even like each other that much. See, y'all dating isn't just a matter of what y'all feel, it's a matter of each other's souls and spirits. Sex is spiritual, so it's a gift from God, and it's not meant to be abused and rushed straight into. Good things require patience. So when you intertwine with somebody too fast, too soon, you're incapable of seeing where to set the boundaries of what you each need to work on, of each other's red flags, and more often than not, that relationship will manifest in confusion, anger, jealousy, resentment, mental anguish, contradiction, chaos, and it ends in a soul tie. If your algorithm looks anything like mine does, you'll often hear people say that your beliefs of the opposite sex would attract the same type of partner back into your life. And while I agree that's true to some degree, I think what often gets overlooked is, let's just say a woman. Obviously this goes both ways, but take a woman, for example, that gave love a chance. Again and again and again with no predisposition or views of the opposite sex. And then wonder why it's always the same type of dude that pursues them after they got rid of the scumbag that plagued their life. It's because of the familiar spirit he left you with. See, the exchange of spirits is very real. And that is why the Most High made sex sacred, because the two are meant to become one. See, God intended for our souls to intertwine in union. He never signed off on the boyfriend-girlfriend deal. He never assigned us to casually date. So if you don't see a future with this person, leave them alone, man, because the boyfriend-girlfriend thing, it's you trying to form a covenant outside of God. Because only marriage is a covenant under God. It's like this. You're trying to form a covenant around God and you want to make your own rules. So for example, let's say you have a girlfriend and you tell her it's not right for her to text or hook up with other guys, right? There's rules, there's commandments you set, but you don't own her. She doesn't belong to you. She belongs to God. So if I want to be with this woman the right way, I've got to get permission from God and I got to do it how her Heavenly Father wants. But instead, we try to go with our own covenants. And that's why we deal with the soul ties, the heartbreak, the drama, chaos, etc. Things that God never intended. The issue is we try to put God as the cherry on top when he's meant to be the foundation, centered around everything you do. So I'm 32 now. I've talked to many women throughout my life. I've had my share of failed relationships. And what I've learned with my wife today is that God is the secret to a fruitful relationship. See, the two of you might love each other. You might have a genuine similar interests and hobbies, and you might feel this spark that can feel like the best thing in the world at first. But if neither of y'all know God, how are you going to properly love one another? You know what I'm saying? Like, how will that care and compassion last? Does that make sense? See, when you know God, you know what's right. But when you don't know, you don't know. So just because it feels right doesn't make it right. And just because it feels good doesn't make it good. The men are meant to be the spiritual head of the household. He's meant to be the spiritual leader of his home. So as a man, you're meant to do the responsible thing, to do the right thing, to be a disciple of God. And when you really take sex out of the equation, when it's no longer the first thing in the front of your mind, you have more energy to focus on putting it towards trying to become better in everything. You know, I was being prepared to be a good husband to my wife, a better leader, a father. I don't have kids yet, but I can tell that it was preparing me to be more patient, more gentle, more caring. My energy was now being freed up to be able to direct it towards all these different things that I was passionate about, but just kept putting on the back burner. And because of all this, I started excelling in my field. Now, my finances improved. I was 25K in debt, and I was able to pay it all off in a month's time. My routine got dialed in. I was never sleeping in. I was waking up at 4 or 5 a.m. every single day and did not miss. I was able to give my brothers better advice because I myself was getting more disciplined and sharper and wiser, all by simply waiting till God said yes. It's all by His grace that this was possible. I could not have done it alone. I would not be with my wife today. I would not be where I am today if it wasn't for the conscious yes to God. That was, this might be what I want in the moment, but God, I know that your way is the best way. So yes, I give it all to you. So if you're feeling like you're stuck in a rut right now, ask God to pave the path of your feet. Ask for the divine appointments. Ask Him to give clarity into your life and what His will is for you. And then do not be shy or hesitant when it's requiring difficult things of you. Now, let me share some more of the process of how this went for us in the details. First, there's a reason why society is hypersexualized, why the corn sites are free, right? It's spiritual darkness. It's to blind you. It's to emasculate the man and make him weak and docile, incapable of standing up for shit. So when men talk about semen retention, no fab, quitting the vices, what doesn't get talked about enough is this. A lot of those vices are just avoidance mechanisms. They're escapes. And yeah, you can cut out the vice, but if you don't face the thing you were avoiding in the first place, the emotional escapism, the disassociation, the deep longing and desire for intimacy, it will find another way to bite you back in the ass. And for me, the hypersexuality didn't disappear. It was just redirected towards my girl. We could barely go 2 days without being sexual. And at first, you try to justify it. Like, this is my girl, why wouldn't I? It's normal. And sure, it's fine at first, but then over time, I could see this instability manifesting in the relationship. Fear of pregnancy, constant arguments. A lot of it kept getting swept under the rug and ignored. And then we moved to Mexico. And we were there for about 6 months, but we were actually on the verge of splitting up when we first moved there. It was like not even a month later that things between us were getting really rough. But then God revealed Himself to both of us individually. And then we both came with the same realization, like, oh, He put us together for a reason. And the problem is we're not doing this His way. And then we got engaged like a week later. We were celibate for about 11 months, and then we got married. And while I'm not proud to say it, it was far from perfect. Near the end, there were some instances we slipped up. There was an instance I fell short too. But I had to take responsibility for all of it because, again, you as the man are the spiritual head of the household. There's a lesson in Proverbs, the book of Proverbs in the Bible, that I think a lot about when sharing this story is, can a man pour coal on his lap and expect not to get burnt? A large part of the success is knowing what situations to not put yourself in, what environments to avoid, what not to do, what not to look at, what not to engage in. And that's a big reason why we didn't live together for about 5 months till the wedding. And everybody around us, they didn't get it. We could feel the judgment from certain people. And you gotta understand that when you do things that set you apart, the world would think you're weird. Here I was marrying a woman that I knew for about a year and some change. We get engaged, we stop living together, and then I'm traveling the States. I leave the country. I went to Europe for 2 months. And then the people around me in my life were like, yo, what is Sebastian doing? But we knew that we were chilling. Of course, there was times that I missed her, and at times I felt lonely or isolated, but we both understood the assignment. I knew God was building me in private and preparing a wife for me to arrive home to. And the comments I'd hear from people, right? They'd be like, oh, is everything okay? Is the wedding still on? A lot of people are afraid to leave their partner even for just a week or two because they low-key don't even trust their partners. But if you were able to develop a deeper connection and intimacy in ways outside of sex, that foundation would be established. Now, there is a spiritual warfare against God-centered relationships. Darkness hates union, and you can go down all the rabbit holes about the social engineers of the 1900s, how they wanted to destroy the family unit with the large think tanks like the Tavistock Institute, the Frankfurt Schools, the feminist movement. All these things wanting to destroy traditional values and family values that kept families intact. But long story short, darkness hates anything that God is trying to bring together. And in our engagement season, we experienced it firsthand. There were a lot of attacks coming at us. We could see it, but we knew who our protection was. Even going into marriage, like single or not, when you start walking with God, you're going to have a target on your back, bro. Y'all cannot be scared to walk in righteousness because the world is wicked. They're going to call you weird whenever you're set apart, whenever you're doing things differently. But children of God are not called to fit in, bro. We're called to be set apart. And the man with self-control is a 1 in a million. And for any of you guys who have been on retention, or you're single, or maybe you're celibate right now, or maybe you're celibate in your union, you see how spiritual this shit is. Women see that, right? Because you're highlighted in the spirit and they're going to want you. Let me break it down, right? You're going to be a target. And there's 100 different ways I can say it, but you just got to make sure that you're really standing on your square, that you're standing on your principles, your morals, your values, and remembering your why. Because the second you let that get to your head, the moment you start moving sloppy is the same second you're going to get veered off your path. But women are going to come after you because you're not doing what most men are up to, right? So you got to make sure that you're keeping your lust in check, that you're keeping a humble spirit on you, and that you're not walking with a prideful spirit. Because if you do, you're going to fall, man. You're going to fall. And for the men specifically, right? I said this a bit earlier, but we get sexualized early at a young age. We don't really get an education. We don't get an emotional education that is attached to sex. We don't realize the impact of penetrating a woman the right way, of what it's going to do to her heart and how she's going to respond to you. The pressure that you might feel for not being ready to bear those extra responsibilities that come with sex. The unplanned pregnancies, the moving in together too soon, the trying to build a life on a bed of straws when you haven't even built your own self up. How many people have actually sat with themselves in a single phase without any other energies to reflect on who they want to be, what they want out of life? Have they ever had a long enough stint to be able to just sit with themselves and date themselves, to hear God's voice about their own life? And then you actually understand that voice in the back of your own head that's saying, who is right for me? What are my standards? Where is the synergy? Where do I need to pivot? Of course, it goes without saying. I mean, sex is amazing. I was definitely looking forward to be able to do it again. But to do it the right way is completely different. And sex is a bonus, not a foundation. Being able to tighten up the other areas of your life, exploring other aspects of your connection first, learning each other's love languages in other ways, it's not withholding or depriving one another. It's y'all being committed to your future in the healthiest way, where sex isn't just this cover-up method to sweep all your problems up under the rug. And when it's under God's will, under his covenant, y'all will both have so much more spiritual insight, spiritual wisdom, and you'll have a strong spiritual relationship with God where he's the head of the relationship. Because what is ordained by God, can't no man stand in between. But in order to get there, you got to submit to God. You got to be disciplined. You get what I'm saying? Like, it makes no sense for us as men to be disciplined at work, on our business, in the gym. But sexually is where we draw the line. That's not love. That is lust. Lust is, I want it right now. I need it right now. I disregard how it makes other people feel, including myself. But I'll deal with whatever consequences come from it afterwards because I can't wait. Whereas love is, I got you. I'm here. I'm going to sacrifice my wants for your needs, and I'm going to long suffer through it. Love is sacrificial. Love is selflessness. And a lot of us men have become blinded. We're blinded because we're too lustful, can't focus, have brain fog, can't even look at a woman without thinking of wanting to go inside her. And men are depressed, have anxiety, because we're constantly in this lower nature. You have to look at this on a spiritual level. It's spiritually immature to just lay down with anybody. I don't care how you rationalize it or how much you attach yourself to it. It's immoral. And you're passing on demons to other people, inheriting demons from other people. And when we stop entertaining lust, Stop constantly wanting to feed the flesh, right? We become natural protectors of purity. It's these men that are the best fathers, the best husbands, the best sons. They want to make the world safe for women and children. You see other men as your brothers. You develop a greater appreciation for brotherhood and motherhood. Lust becomes repulsive, and now you're focused on only seeing virtue. That's the real beauty. And women will be able to feel more comfortable around you naturally, because you'll find it's easier to socialize because you don't carry this frequency of sexual perversion or distortion that's brought by the system. Look, I'm definitely not telling no one what to do. I'm just sharing the journey. And I will say, as somebody who's been addicted to sleeping with multiple different women, thinking like it meant anything beyond giving access of myself to those that didn't deserve it, I'll say the most meaningful, intimate sex I've ever had has been on this side of being a loyal, faithful, committed husband. I'm sharing this so you can learn from my mistakes, so you can use them. A fool only learns from his own mistakes. A wise man learns from the mistakes of others. We are warriors, my brothers, and I don't want any of you guys to ever forget that. So I don't care what it is you fell from. You got to get back up. You got to keep pushing forward. And I'm going to tell you again, man, get on your purpose. Get right with God. Understand the assignment. Get permission from God. And build with a woman that you can see yourself with in the long run. This game of life is spiritual. Treat it as such. If any of you feel like you could use some extra guidance, if you want to speak with me directly, you can book a one-on-one call using the link below. That, or come join our school group. There's a lot of great people inside. We have group calls, both men and women. We'd love to have you. It'd be great to connect. So hope this video helped y'all, man. Stay vigilant and God bless.